Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? And welcome back to WOR. We are here for PC Tier 5 and we are for round 4 here at Brazil. I'm, of course, joined by my good friend, Matt Club. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, thanks. It's been a nice week, and last nice week that we've just had, and let's hope that we can start this one off with some good racing. Personally, one of my favourite tracks.
Yeah, it's not the worst, I would say. Uh, Not my favorite track, but it's also not the worst track I've liked it well, but not it's not the best for me. But we will see who is going to finish first today, and maybe it can extend their lead on uh the tail.
Yeah, well, speaking of the championship results, I've popped them up on screen for everybody to see. And of course, last week's winner, Matex, securing that win for him, has just helped hoist him up in well and truly into the top of the standings. He's now got a 14-point gap to his closest competitor, who is, funny enough, also his teammate, which tells me that Red Bull are doing very well. We'll just get to the constructor standings at the moment, in a moment's time, sorry. But with a fourth place, a second place, and a first place, Matex is looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, and also very consistent. He was on the fourth, second, and first. Dawek had one bad race in it. The first race in Melbourne with the 12th place, what is not that good for the championship, but he can, of course, make it today to the first place.
Yeah, and well, we will just have a look at the constructor standings before we get onto the racing, where qualifying is just about to kick off. So we will make this nice and brief. But as I was saying, Red Bull with a very comfortable lead, 88 points, a 56-point gap after just 4 races. Ferrari in second place for that matter on 32. Is it really viable to see Red Bull losing out on this one? I know we're only 3 rounds in, but they look like they've got a very strong start.
Of course, but in Formula One, everything can happen. Everyone can have bad races, can kicked out from other drivers. It's everything is possible, I think.
I think that is a pretty good way to put it. And just in time, because we have just loaded in to the game, which I think we have timed that to absolute perfection. Obviously, no one is out on track yet because we've only 15 seconds in. But it looks like a pretty nice evening. Certainly no clouds in the sky, so dry setups all around. Softs are obviously the primary choice. And I think we're going to see some pretty fast times. Hopefully, we get some times as close as we did last week. They were some very, very close qualifying times in the end, weren't they?
There were, I think, three guys were in 1/10 of a second, and
Yeah,
we
it was
want to
about
see
that.
that today also. And I think we have a good chance because Brazil is not the longest track.
Mm.
I'm I think we will see times around 1 minute 7 seconds or less. That means we have a good chance to see a quite interesting qualifying session.
I certainly hope we do. Now, I've just been sat in the pit wall whilst people have been coming out on track. You might notice something's a little bit different from last time round, and it's the fact that we actually we're not in world cars. We're in the actual Formula One cars, which is a huge help. Not only the fact that we've had a constructors standing, so it's nice for everybody to be in the constructors that they're supposed to be a part of, but also it's going to make it a lot easier for us to help identify people. So we hope that hopefully this time round it might be a little bit clearer for you guys as well as it will be for the championship, and I think quite thankfully that we are ourselves. Just as I'm saying that, the Alpine Giuseppe has just started the first qualifying time today. He'll be the first banker to see kind of roughly where everybody's standing, but I know from a fact that these guys usually the first time you can take with a pinch of salt.
It won't be the fastest time they will set today, but it's a good measure point for the other times we will see tonight. I think Matex and Dalbeck will be in the top 5. They were
Definitely.
very strong and very consistent in the last races, and I think we will see them on top of the timing table.
Yeah, I can't see the two Red Bull drivers really being outside the top 5. If one of them got a poor qualifying or crash or something, then yes, obviously. But on general pace and merit alone, can't see that being too much of an issue for them. They've had such a strong start to this season that they'll hopefully be able to continue it through. You never know. First times are coming in now. Fastest time so far is a 106.8. So they're already going faster than we'd previously predicted, which tells you even for Tier 5 that these guys are just immensely fast. And you really got to keep an eye on them. Matex, importantly, is just coming around to set his first time of the evening. What time's it going to be? It's only going to be P4. It's going to be 8/10 off the fastest time of 8 drivers that have crossed the line so far. So not the optimal start that we possibly could have thought of. McLaren through next. What will he put? He's 15th at the moment. Goes P11 with certainly not an important time, I'm guessing. He'll be interested in going around again, being 7 seconds off the pace. I can't see that being his full potential.
Funana is the next one to cross the line. Also not the best lap, 1.89. There will be that will be not that won't be his fastest lap in of the evening. And yeah, the first few laps will be to memorize the track. There was a fun slide from Funane, but yeah, that's not the important times that we will see at the ending of the session.
Absolutely. Now, everybody that has gone through and set a time so far, they're all diving into the pit lane to get on a fresh set of rubber. Whether everybody will go out immediately again, I'm not too sure. In my opinion, Debeck, he's nearly got half a second to all the drivers in front of him. A ridiculously fast time from him as of right now. It's taken a while for a few names to come onto the board before we've sort of realised how good of a start that is. When you get a qualifying lap like that to begin with, in my opinion, I think you'll probably agree with me, it definitely takes the pressure off of having to go and do 3 flying laps. He can probably get away with just the 1. Possibly, I probably wouldn't say 1. I'd probably go with his banker that time and then 1 right at the very end. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course. He has a 4/10 lead, what is a incredible lead for the first banker lap. And there he can skip his second stint and will go only for 2 stints, I think. But maybe he is that one Red Bull that is coming out right now, or is it
He is.
Matex?
No, Debeck is out.
Debeck.
So everything that we've just said, you can throw that straight down the drain because we are totally and utterly wrong. He has decided to come out immediately. Well, pretty much immediately. I think he's probably changed his tyres, given it 30 seconds and said, oh, screw it, I'm going to come back out again. Though, then again, this is a very competitive section of racing. I know we're only tier 5, but that doesn't mean that we're particularly slow and uncompetitive. It is still just as competitive. I mean, you saw it in qualifying last week. That's such a close qualifying. You can't not call it competitive. So he knows that people are going to speed up, and I think he's realised that he is going to have to still up his pace significantly if he wants to find himself on pole.
And he is starting his lap in a few seconds time. Of course, using all of the track, going out of the circuit with 2 tires, and now coming through the first few corners and making it invalid.
Oh, a bad start. I think this is what a couple of people have been worried about. We've had a few invalidated laps already that I've noticed, but I think that's one of the first really crucial ones that we've seen so far today. This, whilst being an amazing track, is surprisingly easy to invalidate at. A lot of points in the track where you can go off circuit and still, remain in control of your vehicle. And that's exactly what's happened to him. I'm just going to jump forward slightly over to Jensen Rawson. He's currently in P2, not much of an advantage. The next driver behind him is just 0.004 of a second slower. So he's in an important situation here where he really needs to try and break free of this midfield section. And I am going to apologise as well for the fact that the game keeps pausing. It's not my fault. My computer's decided to start throwing me a pop-up every now and then, and it's pausing my game. I am just as furious with it as I imagine that you will be by the end of this. I am trying to fix it. Hopefully, I'll have it fixed by next week. But yeah, I'm just as angry as you. As I was going on about that, Jensen has gone and put it. Well, I'm not going to say moved his position because he certainly hasn't, but he's secured himself a slightly better spot. Matex as well, improving his time massively, nearly half a second faster, puts himself P3. But Jensen just creating himself some breathing room with that lap there.
Yeah, but Matex also was very close to Jensen. Also, I think 20 thousandths of a second are is a very close distance. I think about 2-3 meters will it is at the end. Red Bull are doing Red Bull stuff. 1 and 3 very good laps from the two, and I think we will see a few better laps from them at the last stint. One stint is still remaining.
Yes, indeed it is. We've got 9 minutes of qualifying remaining as a matter of fact. And everybody is pretty comfortable. I've got a few people starting to come back out onto out laps again. A few people in the pits, a few people on in laps. So this is the kind of section of qualifying where everything gets a bit mismatched. Everyone sort of comes out at different times, trying different things. This is sort of the experimental section of qualifying before then we get to the knuckle down and give it your best shot right at the very end. But currently just watching NSR as he finished the lap about a minute ago now. That was a decent improvement. Interestingly enough, Debeck straight back out. He's not let that invalidator hopefully get to his mind, and he's getting himself straight back out onto track. And a few other people in the top 6 as well. Herman and Mikkel have also elected to come back out, as well as Alfie in P8. So about, I'm going to say, give or take, 70% of our team, out of everybody, is out on track. Whether they're on out laps or in laps or flies, it is kind of all over the place. So we'll see how it goes from here.
The question I have is the back on old tires or new? Because I think he has only 3 tire. And yeah, we will see if he's slower in the first sector and is invalid. Second invalidation.
Certainly not looking good for him, is it? This is a worrying for Debeck that he can't quite put together a lap. Luckily, his first lap was strong enough that he is still currently sat on pole position. But I can assure you, I think with the final laps, that's going to start becoming an issue. If he invalidates on the last time round, I don't think he has much hope in finishing on pole. Hopefully, he can string one together right at the very end so we can have an interesting and entertaining pole fight. His teammate, though, Matex, is on an outlap. And interestingly enough, Herman, the Ferrari I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, has just gone and put it P2 with a very, very fast time, putting himself within 0.2 of a second of Debeck.
To have a look at Kovac, because he is also finishing this lap and is on. Lost two attempts in the last sector, and is also only about 30 thousandths of a second up to his last time.
So marginal improvements there for Kozak. You never know. It was a decent amount, enough to kind of keep himself away from Giuseppe, though I say that. It's a 0.5 of a second, and he has just gone through Sector 2 purple and 0.2 up. So I'm going to just stick with the Alpine here because this could be an interesting run to the line. How is Giuseppe going to do? Is he going to get himself comfortably into the top 5? No, he's not, with a massive loss in Sector 3. Doesn't even manage to hit Kozak into sixth place. That was such a drastic change there between two sectors and into sector three as well, which in my opinion is confidently the easiest of the sectors. Just a single braking zone in the entire time, and he managed to lose 0.2 of a second in it. It's amazing how much of a difference one corner can make.
I think also the EOS was the part of the losing of the time loss. But Alfie on P5, the Haas pilot managed to get on P5 with a decent lap and only 4 fence away from Matex.
Yeah, it is certainly getting closer at the top now. That puts the top 7 drivers all within half a second of each other. The top 14 all within 1 second. And Matex, for some reason or another, has just left the session. I'm guessing, since he's in the pit lane, a disconnect.
Yeah, it must be. And that is very crucial thing. In the last few minutes of time, I hope he will get into the session in a few seconds to set a time at the last to set his last stint. But we have to have a look at him if he makes it.
Indeed, we shall. Only one, oh no, I say that. Only 2 drivers now on outlap. So I think the final runs are just beginning to take place. But these are the early runners of the final runners, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Because we've still got 4 minutes of qualifying remaining. There's still plenty of time for people to get out onto track. So these guys, they want to get out and get onto an uninterrupted track, a basically empty track. There's only 4 drivers out there at the moment. That allows them to not have to worry about any traffic, any dirty air. Downsides is, though, they do have to worry about track evolution. They're not going to get as much. And there we go, Matex just joining there. They're not going to get the best track evolution, so possibly not the best times. But do you think it's a good trade-off?
It depends on the driver. If he wants a clear track, it is the best thing. But if he if he doesn't care about it, it would be better to settle to go for the last few seconds to do the lap. And Christian also got invalidated his lap. He will also have a next lap, I think, when he has enough fuel. If he has enough fuel.
Yes, this is the worry. A lot of these drivers will probably be only giving themselves the absolute minimum amount of fuel that they can get away with. Only issue is that does mean that if you're left invalidated, you haven't got any chance of getting round and doing another lap. He thinks he does have enough fuel because he's going for it. Let's see how he gets on over the course of the next minute. Just looking as well, we've got a lot of drivers now on outlaps. The track is getting busy, and it is getting busy quickly. One of the notable of the people on outlaps is the Ferrari of Herman. He's currently just starting a lap, or he's just getting himself underway for the Ferrari for his final run. We have only got 2 minutes left. So I'm thinking it's starting to get a little bit late for De Beck and Jensen to leave. Are they going to?
I think they have to. At
Jensen,
the back is now
yeah,
leaving.
Jensen is out, and is De Beck just leaving now?
Yeah,
Indeed he is. Just in the nick of
have a
time.
look at Herman, but his first sector wasn't good. He broke up his lap. I think you say it like this. No idea. And he will start a new one soon, I think.
Yeah, let's hope for that to be the case. He's going to have enough time to go for it again. Declan retiring from the session, but it is in the pit lane, so nothing to worry about. No yellow flags through any sections of the track. So he can keep himself sort of not too worried. And I think the Ferrari has done this on purpose because he took a very slow start out of the final corner the last time round. So whether he was going for an extra outlap just to sort of warm the tyres up just that little bit more and get himself that bit more on the pace before he started this flying lap, I think might well be the case. Either way, let's take, for example, Matex, currently in the Sector 2. This is going to be really interesting now. The current leader of the championship, Pano Yopmir, definitely don't know where he got that name from, has just retired from the session as well, as the Red Bull goes through Sector 2 and is a 10th up on his time.
That would be the third place for him, but every other person have to cross the finish line too, and it is a 10 and is up to the third place. Now we have
Indeed
to
it
have a look
is.
at Herman. He's not quicker in the first section. Is he quicker in the second? He is.
Just. Only just. And oh, he
And
spins on the final corner. Oh, that's brutal for Herman.
And Dalek will also not be better because he invalidated his step again.
No way. Alfie was looking a lot faster as well, but he's also invalidated his time. Kozak going slowly through Sector 2, so that's his lap done, as well as Giuseppe. He's invalidated as well. I think the last man to pretty much come across the line in that case is NSR. He goes P7 after improving by just a 10th of a second, and all of a sudden, qualifying that was seen so hyped up to be very, very interesting indeed. Lots of people putting in some surprisingly good starts to laps. Couldn't quite finish them off. And it's ended exactly how it started.
The back
Wow.
lap is the pole position. The back has one lap. The others were invalidated. And he hit the first lap perfectly and secured his pole position.
Oh, what to say, that is totally and utterly mental. I don't think I've ever sat here in qualifying where someone's banker lap, their first lap as soon as they got out on track, has been the one that's put them on pole position. So Debet, congratulations to you. That's a first that I've seen, and it is certainly a very impressive lap. But is it worrying that a lot of people were struggling to invalidate there? Do you think we might see a bit of a penalties chaos during the race because of it?
There will be penalties but I don't think as many as we saw here, because here's everyone going on the limits in the race. It won't be like that, I think. But we also see very close gaps between the drivers. P2 and P3 are only 1/10 of a second, 1/100th of a second away from each other. We will see a nice race, I think.
I certainly hope so too. A few people, well, Debek in particular, just saying, is anyone else's game lagging? So that might be why he was struggling to put in a time there, but that wouldn't surprise me if it is EA. They have got a tendency to do that. Either way, we are starting just to get ready now for the race. It will probably kick off in about 30 seconds or so time.
We will have a restart.
Oh god, yeah, of course we will. Oh, I keep forgetting about that. So, because that will be the case, join us back in a moment or two's time, and we will get ourselves ready for the race. Welcome back, everybody. You join us at a wet track in Brazil. So this is certainly going to bring on some interest. We have literally just loaded in, so we've got a moment to talk about it. A wet track, that's certainly going to bring some thrills, isn't it, Just?
It is, and it is a very different feeling on the track also. Very low grip. They don't know it from the qualifying session. I hope they trained it, but we will see. I think a very interesting race with many incidents, but I don't hope there will be very significantly incidents that will.
I think there might be some interesting things going on here because whilst the track is raining, I'm just reading the chat for PC Tier 5, and no one can fit wet tyres. The game is only letting them fit
Ooh.
slicks, so everyone's going to fit slick tyres because they have to. They've got no choice. And then I'm guessing assess the situation. If it's too wet, come in, and then we're going to get everyone come into intermediates. Or we're going to be able to run on slick tyres. But it seems far too wet for that, I would have said.
Turn 1 will be very interesting, I think, with slicks on the wet track and coming down the hill. That will be very interesting. They're also thinking of a restart. At least they
Yeah,
want a restart.
quite possibly. I think this could be really interesting. This doesn't happen normally, so it'd be nice to see something a bit different happen and say go for it. Um, Obviously, I guess it's up to them. We don't have much of a say in it. But what could possibly go wrong?
I think we will know it in a few seconds. Oh, not. I think they will start and don't restart.
Yeah, well, in theory, I'd have expected everyone to have been forced onto the five red lights by now, but by the looks of it, I think it's just about to come, and
I think
hopefully,
nobody wants to start.
yeah, no one wants to get this race started. This is a really interesting situation. I wasn't expecting it to come to this before the race even started. This is everyone's just what on earth is going on? And here we
Oh, we are
go.
starting.
We're about to get going. 5 red lights here at Brazil, and we are away. The bet gets off to a very rear end happy start, and I think that's probably going to be the notion for everybody here. Ferrari up the inside at turn 1's going to have the outside for 2. That allows the Red Bull to cut across and remain in the lead of the race as we get going. Not too much chaos, a little bit going on towards the back end, but nothing particularly catastrophic. No DNFs through the first turn, which is absolutely wonderful to see, if I may say so myself. Red Bull looking very sketchy there down into turn 4, but everybody by the looks of it has made it through in some way or another, but certainly very slippy out there.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised that no one has a bigger incident there on Jack Jones' car is missing an end plate. If the and he's also everyone is drifting around the track. I think we will see 1 or 2 guys in the box.
Indeed, we do. I think we're definitely going to see at least a couple. But for the most part, everybody looks to be okay, having somewhat struggles here and there. But no one seems, I just say that like an Alpine didn't just fly off the side of my screen there. But a few people, no, everybody's electing to stay out, and we've got a safety car. And that'll be because of that Alpine that I saw just going wildly off just after the final. Excuse me, just off of the final braking point, he went spinning, and I'm guessing that is what's caused this safety car. This could definitely give them a good opportunity to maybe wait out the rain a little bit and just try and weigh up. Is it a good idea to box? Is it not? Everyone, for the most part, seemed to make it through that lap okay. And he went by himself. It wasn't like it was a major incident or anything.
And 5 people go for the intermediate tires. They will catch up the safety car, and then we will have uh, the best look. What is the faster tire right now? Because NSR and the 5 people behind him have the intermediate tires. I don't know what Bernd is doing right now, why he's driving. I'm not waiting for the cars to catch up. But yeah, it will be a very interesting thing what NSR and the 5 people behind him can do.
Yeah, this is certainly a very peculiar situation. Herman coming into the pit lane, interestingly enough, as well as Jack Jones, Pano Yotmir as well. Just the 3 drivers as of right now. By the looks of it, nobody else electing to come into the pit lane. So, not sure why these guys have decided to. Oh no, intermediates. They feel like intermediates is the right choice, but everybody else doesn't. Interesting.
Interesting. Herman is dropping positions because of the late stop. Is behind NSR, Freezy, and Funana. Funana was lagging in the quali, but I think he isn't right now. No, he looks clean. Okay, that's good for the people behind him. And yeah,
Just checking.
I don't know.
Sorry, yeah, just checking tires and stops. And interesting enough, out of everybody that has stopped so far, 2 people have elected to go onto slick tires, whereas everybody else has chosen intermediate. So everybody sat 12th place and behind are all on inters. Everybody else has elected. I'm just saying that only 2
Ooh.
have elected for slicks. Matex with a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. What speed was he doing? The speed of sound?
And he's also going for the mediums, not the intermediate tires. That's a very interesting strategy. I mean, he had the soft tires, but I think they would last a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a massive blunder to his race. Just really, in particular, that penalty. That's such a monumental size for a penalty. That's going to be so detrimental to the outcome of his race. However, Red Bull are still doing okay because Debeck currently sits in the lead of the race as Matex is coming out and into turn 5. He has spun it, interestingly enough. So maybe the slicks weren't the best choice after all.
His tires were also very.
He spun again. Sorry, he has just spun again. Literally, just as I said that, he's gone again. Yeah, cold tires and slicks are not a good choice.
What's also interesting, Banana stopped for the slicks again. He was on the intermediates and now he's on the slicks again.
That is interesting. That really is interesting. Somebody clearly thinking that actually slicks were the right choice after all, and we are still going around behind the safety car, going into lap 5 now. I'd like to think that this will be the lap where we finally get going, which certainly would be nice to see.
Alpine, what is Alpine doing?
Oh, once again, Giuseppe getting a 10-second penalty for a severe collision, and now just trying to make his way to the pit lane. He's gotten himself in there eventually, but this is certainly a very, very interesting race so far.
And also Matex is now switching to the intermediates, sitting out his 10-second penalty and going for the intermediates. Maybe he chose the slicks only to got in the box again to go for the intermediate and to sit out his 10-second penalty.
That would make a lot more sense as to why he decided to do what he did. But it is going to mean that possibly he might not be back behind the safety car before we get going on it. I'd like to think that the safety car would come in at the end of this lap, but I don't know quite whether he'll make it or not, though he is closing down quite a lot of time on the mini-map, as you can see there. So he might just about make it before we get going. Once again, safety car is in this lap as expected. And yeah, he probably will make it just as Debeck starts to slow down to let everybody catch up and let the safety car get away as we aim to start this race once again.
And Brazil is also a very bad track to restart for the leader. He does it now and gets away very well.
He does. Red Bull driver under no threat or scrutiny. The two McLaren drivers getting themselves in very close quarters. And in fact, what's that there? I'm not going to try and say that. Trying to have a little look up the inside, but elected not to. In the ends, the Haas now coming around the outside, trying to possibly capitalise on the mistake of attempting to go for a move, and he is going to try and go on down the inside at turn 4, gets the job done. Alfie up into P6 with a very nice move there, and defends the possibility of the McLaren trying to go back past him once again after that point. But a good move by the Haas there, and by the looks of it, NSR could be trying to have back at it as well as Alfie trying to improve. And look at how fast these intermediate tyres are in comparison to the slicks. This is certainly an interesting development that I'm watching with my very own eyes.
The intermediates are much better than the slicks. You also see Alice Herman gaining positions very fast. Also pushing the McLaren on the back, and I think he will go around. Also Gino is now stopping. They saw that's the intermediate is fast, and they will change on it. I think Matlex is also with the fastest lap.
Yeah, this is certainly interesting. Now NSR, the highest positioned person on the intermediate tyre, currently P4, having started the safety car, I'm going to say sort of below P10, so it's been a massive climb for him at the moment, and he is now going to go and move on the Aston Martin. Doesn't quite make it through the first section of that corner, gets it done through the second, and is going to secure it through the tight right, gets himself up to P3, and he's just closing down these guys at the front at just a rate of knots that I haven't seen before. It is just so unbelievably fast, and all of a sudden these intermediate tyres are infiltrating positions up and down the grid.
And look at the time between Jensen and NSR in such a half lap. He made 1 second to his competitor, and he will overtake him soon in this lap, I guess. Also Debeck, what is now his strategy? He knows the Inter is faster, but what can he do? Will he stay on the slick tire, or will he also change? But I think now it's too late to change.
Yeah, if you change now, you're going to fall down the grid order so much that you can probably kiss yourself goodbye to a podium position. It can certainly help you improve, and you might get, a couple of points out of it here and there. But I think a podium position would be a bit out of luck by that point. I was just on board there with Herman as he got past Gozyak, so that puts the intermediate driver of the Ferrari in P4. Now having driven on these inters for 5 laps, and now NSR right on the back of the RB of Jensen will definitely start putting pressure on down this back straight. Probably try and go for a move into turn 1. If not, you think he's going to try and go for a move into the final corner. But indeed, a safety car does emerge, and this completely I think changes the strategy called as well, because the Beck and Jensen can now come in. Yes, they're going to lose a few places here and there. It's actually, in all fairness, quite a lot of places. But they're not going to lose anywhere near as much time as they would have done if they'd have come in, for instance, during racing time. So big calls up and down the grid order now, and I think pretty much everybody on intermediate, slick tires in. Few people that are on intermediates as well coming in. Interesting call that, would you say?
I'm looking at Herman and I don't understand the strategy call. Why is he coming in? But this, the intermediates, I think, won't be as bad as the slick tires right now. I think he should stay out, but yeah, that keeps the back on the fourth position, and he loses only 3 places.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the big thing as well, and I think benefit for him is as well is tire degradation, because now he's on a fresh set of intermediates. I know he's been racing on inters beforehand, and that's allowed him to progress back up the order again. But now he's on that fresh set, and the two kick drivers and Pano Jotmir that are currently holding the top 3 places, they're going to struggle in, sort of 6-7 laps time. Those tyres are going to be worn. They're going to need replacing. Whereas Herman will probably be able to go longer. And I don't know how long this rain is going to last, but maybe outlast the rain on these tyres rather than having to box for another set of inters and then having to box again for a set of slicks.
I think the rain will be a big part of this race. If it ends or if it won't end, we don't know. The drivers know it because of the dashboard before the race. And yeah, very interesting race.
It certainly is. I think a few people trying the good old burning fuel tactic again. A lot of people up on their fuel. You can see that in the top right hand side of their steering wheels. There'll be a plus. We're just on board with the RB here, and I think it's around a 1.89. I'm going to say 87. And that is the amount of laps extra fuel that they have on board, and that's just because of the sheer quantity of safety car laps we've had. That really does add on some stuff. So they're all smashing their engines to try and burn as much fuel as possible to try and get themselves back onto sort of target for fuel, because it's certainly detrimental when you are a good sort of lap or two extra fuel heavier than the person you're trying to fight.
Also, for the Alpines, the weekend isn't really the best. Both are DNF, and yeah, not the best weekend for that two people. How long will the safety car? When will the safety car come in? I think in the next lap it
Yeah.
will be. Do we have some people still on the slick tires? Yeah, yes. Funana and Madsen, both Mercedes on the Inters, on the slicks.
Yeah, just 2 drivers electing to go for the slick tyres. And obviously just 2 Mercedes drivers as well, which makes it that little bit more interesting. A 10-second penalty for Jack Jones for speeding in the pit lane, which is certainly going to hurt his race currently, though, as I say that, because of him boxing, he has gone into 17th and last place. So at least that penalty can't hurt him, pushing him down any more positions. But the worry is if he goes up a few positions, he'll just lose them straight away again from those penalties. Either way, hopefully we've only got about a sector to go before we get the safety car in this lap call, and we can get back to racing once again. People I think are in a really good position. DeBeck and Jensen, I know they're quite a few places behind, but when Pano, Kristen and NSR eventually elect to come in for degraded tyres, they will inherit those top 3 positions. But of course, being stuck in the midfield forces you into fights. Will that change the outcome of this race? I've got absolutely no idea. We're on lap 11 and 36, so we're sort of getting on a fair way through, about 30-40% of the way into this race. So we've still got a lot of racing to do and a lot of racing to decide how this finishes. Safety car coming in, and we'll get racing very soon.
And we have to have a look at the two kick. They made a very good strategy, but now have the oldest tires from the whole field. What can they do on these tires? When will NSR start the race again? Very
He's
slowly.
and he's away, and it's a decent start for himself. He's definitely not helped out his teammate, though, who is under a lot of pressure from the Williams behind, who's under a lot of pressure from the Red Bull behind him. No one, though, in the end going for a move into turn one. It's pretty quiet, I think, up and down the order into turn one. In fact, nobody wanting to risk it after the shenanigans that they've seen so far on track today. Once again, by the looks of it, pretty quiet into turn four as well. We're not seeing much go on at all, and RB there just slightly offline, Frizzy down in P14. But so far, a much more relaxed start to this race than we've seen so far.
It is. Maybe it is also because of the tires. They are now they have now more grip than ever. Ever. It's the race. What can the two kick Sauber can do? They are 1-2. Maybe they have to work together to get away from Pano Jopma and Stabek. I think Stabek will pass Pano Jopma this lap, but the kick Sauber, the second, made a mistake, and now he's under pressure from Pano Jopma. Pano Jopma takes the outside for the first corner, and he is through. Maybe the back can go through too, maybe, and he can.
God,
Nice
yeah,
overtake.
that was a very close move. I think a little bit of contact there, just side by side fighting, and that has now also opened the door for the RB behind, possibly Jensen, to try and go for a move. He's gonna send it into four, gets it done with a very impressive move indeed, making the absolute most of, I think, a rather deflated Kick Sauber driver. Who's fallen from P2 to P5 in matter of a single sector and a tiny bit. And by the looks of it, he's going to lose another place to a Williams as well. Tries holding the defence on the inside. We'll have the outside for the next corner. Switch back possible? I think so. I think that's the optimal strategy. But look, another Ferrari's coming through. And what is happening to Christian's fallen to 7th already on this lap alone? That has been, I think, probably one of the most shocking laps I've ever seen.
And also the back overtook Pano Jopma in the, I think, 4th or the 5th corner, and is now on to the back of NSR. And I think it will be a matter of time when he passes him, and we will see the back in the lead of the race.
Yeah, I certainly don't think it's a matter of if, much more a matter of when, because he's now right on the gearbox of the current leader, Jensen, just there. You could see in the background holding off an assault from Pano Jotmir in P4. Doing pretty well in that case as well, because what he's done is very intelligently opened the door for the Ferrari driver to start putting a bit of pressure on him, which eases the pressure off of himself. As it stands at the moment, though, look at how close the Beck has been trailing NSR. It has been so close. I don't think they've ever gotten more than about 3/10 apart from one another, and I think a good opportunity could open itself up into turn one here. De Beck has got more ERS than you could ever need to make a single overtake. He's going for the inside here. We do have a change of the lead, and I think he will secure it into turn one as well. Indeed, he does. De Beck takes the lead as of right now.
And the second Red Bull driver also takes a position, dive in the first corner. and got the position from Pano Jopmer, who's also dropping places. Now Christian is already at the 9th place from 2 to 9 in, I think, 2 laps.
It is indeed. It has been such a shocking safety car restart for him. I don't quite know what's gone wrong, what's changed, but something certainly has. And it hasn't changed all for the best. So, unfortunately for him, he is falling down the order even more. He's down to P14 now. I think he must have had an incident there or something or another, but whether he's got damage to the front, not by the looks of it. I can't see any noticeable damage, but it is a very unfortunate last sort of few laps for him.
It is, and now Jensen also at the back of NSR. He will lose a position, and Jensen will gain one. Debek is under no pressure. He can drive his race in the front and don't really have to look behind him.
And Finanana has just retired from the session in the pit lane though, so nothing to worry about, but he will obviously fall to P17 where he will finish this race. And a good fight at the moment between two Ferrari powered cars. Just one's got a Ferrari badge on it and one's got a Haas badge, and they are going tit for tat as of right now. I think finally the Haas is going to try and be able to pull through here through double right, gets it done nicely. In fact, opens the RB up for offers for a move on the Ferrari. Ferrari though defending nicely, even in a bad situation, keeps himself in P10 for now. Vidani P9.
Yeah, Funana also joined the session again. He won't drive, but I don't know why he joined. Christian took also his first, I think the first 3-second penalty we saw. Is it?
I think it must be, yes. I think the only other penalty we have is Frizzy, who, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt myself there because Matex has just put in a lovely move down the inside at turn 1 to put himself up to P5. Gino being on the opposing end to that. And no, it's not Frizzy, is also on a 3-second time penalty, but it's an awful lot less than we were expecting. Only 2 drivers to pick up 3-second time penalties as of now.
Very interesting. And now at the front, we have a change. Jensen overtook Debek into the second section and now is in the lead of the race. Debek is not finding very good pace. He needed to stay at the front, and now he is second, but I think he will gain the position at the next straight pick. While Alessandro had an incident and is off track and now back on the track.
Alessandro missing his right front end plate as well. So obviously he's gone into something front ways and it hasn't turned out particularly nice for him, which will probably explain the struggling in steering ability, as he does have to slow down massively for some of these corners. I'm guessing he'll be diving into the pit lane to get that one changed immediately. There's absolutely no chance in you being able to hold on to anything whilst under the influence of a bad front wing. It's about the most brutal thing you can have in this game. And oh, big sideways there for the Haas. He managed to catch it really nicely and keep himself right on the back of the Williams. But Alfie possibly struggling with the rear end a bit.
And I have to interrupt you because Frizzy took the slick tires again. He took the slick tires from box and is now on the slick tires. Also, Eve took the slick tires. Let's have a look what they can do in the slicks.
This is very interesting because Frizzy has just come out onto track and almost immediately lost the place to Christian, who is obviously on a set of intermediate tyres. So was it the right call yet? Is the track dry enough? I personally don't think so, especially after just watching him try and go in for that corner there. The understeer was nearly as bad as the oversteer that he's currently experiencing. He seems to be struggling with the car at the moment on the slick tyres, and just, yeah, the ends kicking out the moment he gets anywhere near the throttle. I think going onto the slick tyres was a bad choice on his behalf.
And at the front, the second RB is still in the first place, but Debek is really near him. Was in a 10th of a second at the last corner, but don't manage to overtake him. Maybe he is just waiting for the perfect moment without a fight, and that may come in the next straight.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. As of right now, though, Herman and NSR are certainly getting very frisky in their battles. The Ferrari driver trying to dip to the inside there. I think the Sauber car wasn't particularly ready for it. They made a slight bit of contact. That slowed the kick driver down significantly enough that Matex was able to capitalise on the situation as well and go around the outside of him to secure the move. So NSR down to P5, Matex and Herman up places to 4 and 3 respectively. So good wins there for the Ferrari and Red Bull drivers. A massive loss for the Kick Sauber team that are starting to see all their hard work fall away from them.
And pretty, I think, spun, and there we see the slick tire is too soon to go on it. I think, yeah, no front wing. He comes to the box,
diving into the pit lane.
And I think he will change on the intermediate again.
Retired.
Oh no, he retired.
He is elected to retire from the session, which leaves just 15 of the original 20 drivers out on track. So we've lost a quarter of our drivers so far through DNFs. The lot of them, no one else, no disqualifications or anything of the like. All retirements from the race. And as it stands at the moment, there isn't the square root of a lot going on. NSR coming into the pit, interestingly enough. He's on a set of intermediate tyres. What is he going to change to? That is the question. In my opinion, another set of inters is the right call. What's he going to do, though?
Yeah, inters. Exactly
that. Yep. He knows that inters are the right choice. I think his were just getting to the point where they were just too old. So he's decided to come in and change them. Can't get me complaining about that one in particular.
And he will have free air in front of him. He can make up some time, and I think the Aston Martin also spun of Jack Jones.
Yes. Yeah, Jack Jones just spinning there. Not 100% sure what happened, but managed to catch him as he was getting going again. And he is diving into the pit lane after that one. Immediately see what he's doing she'll catch up in just a moment's time. Interestingly enough, though, other than the sort of the second gap between De Beck and Jensen, we're now starting to get a bit more of a heated front battle, because we've now got 3 drivers all pretty close together. As I say that, Matex dives into the pit lane there, so we've now got Herman and De Beck very close to each other, and they are fighting pretty hard indeed.
And De Beck has big problems with his tires. He's nearly going in every corner. He's drifting around, and the Ferrari will overtake him, I guess.
Oh, that's close.
Defends it and stays in the second position.
Yeah, just about keeping himself in place there, keeping him around the outside in particular on both of those attempts to get the position. The Ferrari driver got the inside line, just wasn't able to capitalise on it. De Beck just making the most of the higher speed around the outside of a track when you're going for the move. So De Beck holding on as of right now, but this is just letting Jensen soar away with the lead. It was a second, not a lap ago, and now it's all the way up to 2 seconds. So I think, whilst I'm happy for De Beck to be able to keep his position, it's not possibly the optimal strategy here.
I think it will box. Yeah, it is. For De Beck, also
both coming in. Oh, that was close. The Ferrari driver was looking to try and go around the left-hand side of the Red Bull driver and maybe just etch him in front at the pit wall sign, but he elects not to in the end. So both are going to come in and come out at the same time. And
got overtook.
yes,
Got the position.
yeah, Herman has managed to cut him in the pit lane. Interestingly enough, got a faster tyre change in, and with the help of a hash driver who cut up Matex as he wanted to, Debeck as he wanted to leave the pit lane, has allowed the Ferrari driver to get himself in front, but it means they're now P6 and P7 respectively. And just as he says that as well, Herman picks up a 3-second time penalty.
And that's very bad for him, because Debeck has nothing, of course, and I'm looking at his warnings, and he has 0 warnings. He is clean, and that's very bad for Herman. And today, NSR got the perfect taste of the strategy. Every call he made was right. He is now at the 2nd position and 3 seconds in front of Jensen, who leaded the race before they stopped. NSR is doing everything right in the strategy.
He is indeed, and I think the fight between Debeck and Herman is about to get a bit spicy, but that isn't what's happened. Herman has spun it at the final breaking point. That is a mental. I can't quite believe I've said that. And that is ultimate commentator's curse. Just as I'm about to say it, the Ferrari totals his opportunity at a good finish. Currently sat P6, and I don't think he's going to get much more out of this race after a massive, monumental mistake like he has just made. And looking up at the front, NSR has just managed to get past Matek. So all has happened in a matter of moments.
Every time it is like this. But now Matex has to stay behind NSR and look for the overtake at the long straight. What that will come in a few seconds, in a few corners, and then he will have a good shot at the kick driver. Drifting out of the last corner, and now I think Matex has all the cards to overtake NSR. And there it is, Matex on the 1st position.
Yeah, we're changing almost immediately. We have got 11 laps remaining, so we've still got plenty of time for things to change, hopefully. I'm sorry, my game is just not having it. Hopefully, we still get some good fighting, because that's exactly what we've had so far, and I am absolutely loving it at the moment.
And also now, Kovac made the run the fastest lap of the race, and secured him one. No, he don't secure him one extra point. It isn't. But now here the Christian and Gino are fighting, and Gino gets the position from Christian. Also, Christian has had a bad exit and let Kovac come very close to him, but don't overtake him or get past him.
Yeah, this is a really close midfield fight at the moment. The three drivers keeping themselves really tight to one another, though impressively, Gino has managed to pull away at such a rapid rate, nearly a second, no, over a second now, just as I say that, into sorry, so just in front of Christian, is pulled away at such a rate of knots, and that will be why Christian having to come into the pit lane immediately after that overtake. And I'm just going to have to jump back to the front again because these two drivers are so close to one another. A quarter of a second there, I think. Is the point where it got to the lowest interval between Matex and NSR of all fights to have towards the end of a Grand Prix. It being the top two fighting is just wonderful to see, isn't it?
It is. And now the Aston Martin from Jack Jones get out of the way. The Jack Jones had not the best race. I think spun twice or three times, also drifting around at the back, what we have seen. And also Alessandro now boxes again, and that was it with the points for him. Very, very, very bad for him. And now NSR overtake Matex again. I think we will see this all every lap in the next few laps
Yeah, I
until
can't
the
see
end.
it. I can't see it changing either. If I'm honest, NSR, it's a decent exit through, but Matex just sticks to him like glue the moment that the Kicksabber driver does indeed get in front. Unfortunately, though, it just isn't quite long enough that back straight for anybody to get a decent enough push and a decent enough escape down that straight to go for a move. It's a shame that that is the way of it, especially considering the fact that we are driving in the wet and the drivers do have DRS. I know, make that make sense. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just a shame that back straight is just not quite long enough for sort of a 3 tenths of a second gap. It's not quite enough to close it down and overtake.
but now I think in the next lap we'll have the free fight for three persons around the podium and the first place because Jensen closed the gap and is now on the back of Metax and in the
He's
DRS.
He certainly is, isn't he? It's only 9 tenths of a second, but it's enough to get him within DRS, and it'll get him within DRS for the back straight as well. What he needs in particular is NSR and Matex to have a little fight between each other. That would definitely open the door for him to go for a move or basically just close the gap down so he can go for an overtake on any of these drivers. But that's now half a second already, and it will be not long whatsoever before he's well within range of possibilities of going for an overtake. And I'm just looking as well here, the Haas and Ferrari are back at it once again. Alfie's got the inside line here at the triple right-hander. Is he going to be able to do it? And I think he might just about manage this on braking. Ferrari possibly looking for the switchback, but too far back to get a move done. So that is Alfie well and truly into P5.
And what's very interesting is Matex is cooling his tires. He's getting out of the racing line to cool his tires on the wet uh, parts of the track. At least he did it the last at the last lap, and that is a sign uh,
Sorry,
of slick and
all
yeah. No,
madness is going on at the moment. Matex has gotten himself back into the lead of the race. Jensen has managed to overtake NSR, puts him P2, NSR P3. Now back down the back straight once again, and I don't think anything's going to happen this time round, but a big shift of the orders at the front happening down that main straight, just as we predicted.
yeah, and very interesting to see. NSR has no now he has 20% ERS, but Matex has 56% ERS. He has more ERS than they both combined. That's very important for him and for the fight around the first position.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with them heading back to the main straight once again. We can only assume that something or another is going to happen. It's nearly always the case. The RB trailing its big brother. Can he make himself the bigger one today? We've still got 6 laps remaining. Sorry. As Jensen indeed does get himself past and back into the lead once again. And I think we're going to be sort of in this yo-yo state, as I like to call it, where people just keep swapping positions every single lap and they just yo-yo between P1, P2, P1, P2. But it's now all about strategy as well. I don't know. These drivers will definitely be thinking about, well, if I'm overtaking on even numbered laps, that's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be in the lead on the odd number laps. I want to be in the lead on the even number laps because then I'll lose it on the odds and I'll get it back again on lap 36. It's just such an interesting call now. I imagine all 3 of these drivers will be thinking about that fact right now.
Yeah, and it's an important question in the race right now. Am I overtaking or should I stay behind? Yeah, everyone has to think 3 times, I think, about it. And now maybe the Mercedes of Declan Madsen can also play a part of it. No, he's too. Oh, he's going backwards. Yeah, but we don't see any swap in this. On this start finish line. Start finish straight. Maybe we see it on a back straight, but I don't think so. I think Matix is way too far behind. For it to say
Virtual safety car. Not sure why. No one.
Let me see this.
Oh, is that why? I see. That is. I don't think it's going to cause too much sort of damage to the quality of racing, and I don't think it's going to hurt too many strategy calls either. What it certainly will do will be it will make the last few laps that bit more important, especially for somebody like NSR, because he's got to overtake 2 people to try and win this race, rather than staying in the lead for Jensen or just overtaking the one for Matt X. I think this will just make these last sort of couple of laps that bit more intense.
Yeah, that will. No, it's a big question. When will the safety for where the safety car got out now? And NSR got a penalty. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's a crucial penalty.
Yeah,
It's very bad for him.
massive drive-through penalty for the Kick Sauber. That takes him out of the opportunity of winning this race. I can pretty much guarantee you with that. He's got to go just straight through the pit box, no stopping, straight through the pit lane and come back out once again. And that is lost him a place so far, and I can see it probably losing him a few more here because there's a few people running down into turn 1 as of right now. That's absolutely detrimental to him. All of a sudden he's gone from P3, possibly even a race win if he'd have put it together nicely. A slight bit of speeding, and by the looks of it he's gonna come out P8, possibly P9 if this Haas can get closed up quick enough. Can he? No, not quite. It's a P8 for NSR, and all of a sudden Kick Sauber have gone from having a very good day to rather the opposite.
Yeah, now look at the Red Bulls. They are very consistent. 2 and 3. Maybe Matex can secure the first position. They will increase their lead in the Constructors World Championship to the positions behind. What's very good from them.
Yeah, Red Bull absolutely dominating at the moment. Having the sister car there as well is just another way to rub in the wounds. The RB is doing an absolutely marvellous job as it stands to keep himself in the lead of the race. Jensen keeping Matex at bay recently. Hasn't had too many issues from the Red Bull driver. Certainly hasn't been giving him much grief over the last couple of laps. I know we had the virtual safety car, but nevertheless, outside of that time, that's a horrible camera angle. It's just lagging like mad. Yeah, Jensen doing a very good job at keeping Matex at bay. Whether he can for particularly long, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think he'd be particularly sort of angry about getting overtaken this lap round, because I'll give him one more chance down the back straight to do it.
But I don't think Matex will overtake this round. I think we will wait for the last lap. But he is losing time right now. 9 tenths. He is the gap is now, but it will. Uh, they will come closer in the by the straights because of the DRS and the slipstream, and it's again to 3 tenths of a second, and now drifting around, and that's a crucial mistake who loses him 5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, massively. And I think that might have almost been a bit intentional, that lifting off a bit from Matex, that just creating a bit of distance from Jensen for him to be able to close down over the course of this lap, or at least that was his original plan, to try and go for it on the final lap. Only thing is I think he might have overdone it a bit, if that was an intentional move or not, because now he's got 9 tenths of a second to Jensen. In fact, it's now over a second. Whether he'll get... Oh, he spun it! The Red Bull driver spun it. Matex on the second to last lap has spun, and now with a nearly sort of 7-second advantage, I imagine, by the time the Red Bull driver has sped up again. That puts Jensen Rosen in an amazing position for this final lap.
The one thing Jensen now has to think about is don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake. Now it's the last lap of 36 laps in the rain, with a very interesting start where it was raining and no one could go on the inters, and now everyone is on the inters, and he has been the fastest man at the last stint, and I think over the race, and now is on the last few few turns to go to his victory.
Yeah, he has done an absolutely stellar job to keep some very, very competitive drivers at bay. Don't do anything that will get you penalised, and just keep calm. Something that Matex failed to do right when he needed to most. He goes through some of the most challenging parts of the track, but I'm not going to say that he's done it until he crosses the line, because this is the kind of track that can throw up just about anything whenever it needs to. Through the final braking zone, he's done it nicely, and look at how slow he was getting on the power there. He didn't want to make any mistakes. He certainly doesn't now. He comes through the final corner. Jensen wins at Brazil, and it is a phenomenal win. 9 seconds to the next driver. Take a bow for RB.
2 and 3 for RB, double podium, and then comes Herman, but he won't finish at the 4th place because Kovac and Kino had no penalties. Herman finished at the 6th place. 7th place for Danny. 8, only SR drive-through penalty put him at the 8th place. Very, very disappointed result for him, I think. Pano Jopma overtook Alfie. Alfie, I think, spun. Yeah, he spun at the last corner.
Oh, God. Oh, he's got a puncture. Rear right puncture.
Oh.
So there we go. Alfie will indeed finish last because he's got a puncture on the final corner. Pretty much to the final lap. It's about as heartbreaking as it physically gets for the Haas. Everybody else crosses the line and he's going to be able to crawl his way there. He's got no front end. He's basically going across it sideways. Poor soul, the Haas finally crosses the line in dramatic style before crashing himself into the barrier. And that completes today's race.
Yeah. And it was a very interesting race with, I think, winner who didn't make a mistake. Matex made a mistake at the second last corner, and that gave away with that the chances for the first place. Now we will wait for the podium to come in.
Absolutely. It should be popping up any second now. Just reading a bit of T5 chat as well. Loved that race actually. I can imagine you say that from Jensen. He was one of the people that was massively opposing, if I'm correct in saying, starting this race, and he's ended up winning it. Congratulations to all three drivers. Congratulations to RB as well for winning the race. And it is a very good day for the Hondas. A particularly good day for Red Bull as well, as they will just storm away with the championship even more after that result. Now it says ends. I think with that, we wrap up for today. So, first of all, what do you make of the race?
I think it was a very interesting race, a very dramatic race with a few two people in the top three crashing out or giving a drive-through penalty. Yeah, I think the right person won, the person who made no mistakes, and yeah.
Yeah, it certainly was a very strange race indeed, but actually turned out to bring us lots of amazing action. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us today. I've been the Casteristics. He's been Mass Club.
Oh.
No, that's all right. I'll fill it in for you.
Sorry.
Thank you all very much for joining us, and see you next week.
See you next week.